Well, this is the first time we're talking to you since you came back to Doctor Who, and since this new departure in which these two series are between the BBC and Disney. I mean, presumably that's allowed you to have the budgets that you want.
It has. It's very, I mean, as ever, the money gets spent in a second in this show. But yes, it's very nice, and it's still a BBC show, but it does give us a chance to, I think in the old days, I'm not quite sure how we would have afforded this Christmas special. Do you know what we would have? We'd have found a way and we'd have done it. It's not all about the money.
What's different then? I'm interested in that.
I mean, yes.
What difference does money make?
Part of the reason
you came here in a nicer car.
It's not spent on me, believe me. It's partly the BBC made a move to go to a streamer. It's still on BBC One here. It's still on the iPlayer. It's just the rest of the world. It goes out on Disney Plus. And the BBC thought, and they went to me because they thought the show deserved to look as good as Stranger Things, as the Star Wars shows. Why should we be the humble little show being made in a shoe cupboard? And I think that's the way everything is heading. Let's face it, every single drama you ever watch on television has had American money or co-production money in it for about 25 years. So this is actually nothing new. This is just the next step. And it's a lovely experiment. We've had a great time. And I think we've made shows that really show that off. And we show Britain at its best as well. British crews, entirely British writers and directors. It shows us off worldwide.
So if it hadn't happened to Doctor Who, would it have survived, do you think? Or would it just be, it would be very obvious looking at it that it's made on a budget?
It's a fool who doubts Doctor Who's future. I think it's 61 this year, and it just, yes, it would have found some different shape, some different form. It's like there is a version that could go out late at night on BBC Three. Believe you me, in my head, there's 20, it always has survived like this. It's been radio shows, it's been novels, it's been comic strips. It's a great, fundamentally brilliant idea all the way back in 1963.
How does it affect the writing in that do you have to, are you sort of more conscious that the references can't all be British? Or, I mean, I know it's been international for a long time.
Absolutely.
Does it feature in your head?
Absolutely not. No, we put in the same old references. And in the way that sometimes someone will pipe up and say, what does that mean? But I always sit there and say, do you know what? We've been watching television shows with references to Gilligan's Island on American shows since the day I was born. That was never shown here. Gilligan's Island. We all kind of have a folk memory of it, or scripts refer to Dallas or Dynasty, so we happily refer to Coronation Street or anything British at all. And they can't take it out. I just refuse to take out references like that.
How long do you think you'll stay with it, Doctor Who?
Oh, I don't know. I'm loving it. It's like we don't know if there's a third series yet, so we're going to make this will go out in the summer, then they'll decide, and the BBC will decide as well its future. But I'm happy to stay with it. I love it. It's more fun than anything else.
What about the business? I mean, Christmas is a huge time for television, always has been, and yet, of course, now with streaming, etc.
Yeah.
What about the kind of business of people all sitting down? I'm thinking families in particular.
Yes.
At a moment with each other to watch something, which you assume, I don't know what the figures are, you assume does still happen to an extent on Christmas Day, but it doesn't the rest of the time.
Christmas Day more than any other. It is swinging towards streaming, unashamedly. It's like, I think over 50% of the figures are now from iPlayer as opposed to BBC One, which, as a 61-year-old man, is strange to me. I can't imagine it. I see it watching proper old terrestrial television myself. Christmas Day more than any other will be everyone sitting down together. I mean, we should all go and bet on the viewing figures for Gavin and Stacey, frankly, because we're all just dying to see that. I mean, I think you're talking about 10 million there, which is very exciting. So I hope we can pick up some of that draft as well. But and that you allow for that in a Christmas special. You make it a bit more open. You don't tie it down with continuity. It's people who might not have seen Doctor Who for a couple of years will be sitting there in front of the telly, and you've got to allow for them to come and watch it.
What are you seeing in your industry, Russell, which you've known for a long time, that worries you?
Worries me. I'm more fascinated than worried by things. I think all the streamers are heading towards the most impossible. Surely this is a South Sea bubble. I mean, the South Sea bubble wasn't an accident. It was nature at work. And the size of budgets, not on Doctor Who, we're not the biggest budget. I mean, the big shows. I remember recently I demanded to have 200 extras in a scene because I think that's one of the fundamental differences between British drama and American drama. They have a lot of extras. I demanded to have 200 extras. I switched on Day of the Jackal, episode 1. They had 500 extras. And I just sat there with my head in my hands going, how do you keep up with this? And indeed, that is a valid question. It'll pop one day. There are too many streamers, too much money. Not everyone is watching these things. It can't be financially viable. And I kind of hope it does pop. and come back down to making those good old 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock dramas about a bunch of British lawyers or a health centre, or, those wonderful shows that train people and train writers and train directors and don't cost a fortune, but teach people how to make television. That'll come back.
Well, we hope whatever form the industry takes, you'll be part of it for as long as we can have you. Thank you so much, Russell T Davies, and looking ahead to Doctor Who on Christmas Day.